So Yom Kippur is a day of fasting, but are there any special foods that are associated with Yom Kippur? The answer is yes, of course there is. This is Yiddishkeit. But the thing is that these foods are reserved for before and after the fast. So I'd like to first talk about what do we eat before the fast. So Yom Kippur actually begins on the evening of the 9th day of Tishrei, and it runs then for the 10th day of Tishrei. And so we know this because the Torah actually tells us what day to fast. And not only does it tell us what day to fast, it tells us to fast, which means that the only biblically required mitzvah of Yom Kippur is to fast, which I'm going to get to in a different video. But because the Torah says on the 9th day in the evening is when we should fast, is that we should be fasting from the 9th day into the evening, or there's the 9th evening, the evening of the 9th all the way through to the end of the day of the 10th. And so what we do is we actually fast from the evening and the following day, which is the classic Yom Kippur, and we eat on the 9th out of excitement for the opportunity to do this mitzvah of fasting on Yom Kippur and honoring Yom Kippur. And why that is exciting, again, will be in a different video. What I want to cut straight to is, so what do I eat on the 9th? And how much do I eat? So the answer is a lot. Not just because you want to bulk up before the fast, because actually not necessarily is eating a lot the best thing to do before a fast, but we eat out of the opportunity to do this mitzvah. The Talmud actually says that whoever eats deliberately on the day of the 9th, the day before Yom Kippur, with the intention that this is about honoring the day of Yom Kippur, it becomes as if they've fasted both on the 9th and the 10th. So this is not just any eating. This is like Shabbos and Yom Tov eating. So some of the traditional foods involve honey cake, also known as lekach. Lekach doesn't mean literally honey cake. Lekach is the cake that one asks for. So what we do on the day before Yom Kippur is we ask someone to give us honey cake. Now, honey cake is the symbolism of the honey in the sweet new year, but we ask, and that's because we want to say this should be the greatest thing that I have to ask for this year, or this should be the only time I'm asking something. So it's very, very cool if you can find someone to give you honey cake, and depending on restrictions, we may be able to give out, and I'll give you more updates on that closer to Yom Kippur. But if someone's got honey cake, ask them, can I have some honey cake? If not, ask them for anything. Ask them for any food, I should say. Can you please give me some of this food in honor of, so I can eat it in honor of Yom Kippur? And it becomes as if that should be the worst thing you've ever asked for or should have to ask for this coming year. Other things that we eat are 2 meals. We don't really eat 2 meals. 2 meals is where we eat. But we eat 2 meals, and a meal is signified by whether you washed before. And so when eating these meals, like lunch and an early dinner, early supper before the fast begins, we have challah, and the challahs are round. You only need 1 challah, and we dip it in honey. So it's the same circular challah as we had on Rosh Hashanah. We continue with these round challahs all the way into Sukkot. So start your meal with a round challah, and you dip that bread into honey. During the meal, one of those meals we eat what's called Kreplach. Now, Kreplach are like, Jewish dumplings or wontons or tortellini. It's a white pasta with red meat inside. You can make it with chicken, but the tradition was with red meat because red symbolizes gvura, which is strength, judgment. In the Kabbalistic explanation of the Sfirot, red represents judgment and harshness, and white represents chesed, which is kindness. And so what we want to do is ask Hashem to wrap the redness in white. We're wrapping the gvura in the chesed, wrapping the severe judgment with kindness and generosity. And then after the fast, we have a meal. Now, some people have what's called a breakfast, where they break their fast, but actually, the breaking of the fast is not just because you're hungry. The breaking of the fast is a Sudas mitzvah in its own right. It's a Sudas Yom Tov. It's a festive meal celebrating the end of Yom Kippur and the festival that just was, the festival of Yom Kippur. And so many people have the custom to not just eat a meal, but they will eat it with meat and fish and bread as they would any other meal on a festival. Now, again, you don't have to do that, but it's about sitting down and eating. Once again, round challahs, honey, And again, some people will eat kreplach at that meal. So the meals that we're eating on the two ends, bookending Yom Kippur, are not just convenience, but they're actually very, very important, described in the Talmud, elaborated on in Kabbalah, and therefore have significant meaning. So enjoy the eating, because it's not like any other eating. This is mindful mitzvah of eating.